All right, I'll put my guitar down. I know it's fun every time you get a new guitar. It's like getting a brand new toy, you know. So
It's always fun.
it is always fun. Who are we missing up here? I know Cameron can't come. I know Pete's not going to be here today. You saw Randy on there, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it was me, Brian. I don't know why it signed me in as Randy.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, you know, you guys look alike. So, well, just a few of us today, huh?
Randy should be joining.
Yeah, it's the middle of the summertime. We'll give it another minute before we start. Hope everybody out there's having a good time. Hi, Val. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. I've heard so many nice things about you.
Oh, that's really sweet.
I don't know if they're true, but I heard
I don't know if they're true either because I don't know what they are.
Yes. I had a very nice conversation with your partner. We've actually never talked before, so we spent about 45 minutes on the phone last week. It was nice.
Oh, good.
It was a
I
good
bet
deal.
she really appreciated that too. She loves it when you guys share your time and your knowledge.
I don't know if I have any knowledge, but I have time. It actually, my contracting gig ended 3 days ago. So I actually now have an extra 5 to 10 hours a week of life. So I've got to figure out what to do with that.
I'm sure you will invest it well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll be helping people grow their businesses because that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mr. Lurch. Well, let's go ahead and get rolling. Jay, you'll keep an eye out if anybody else comes on it. So today, everybody, we are talking about CRMs. It's literally one of my favorite subjects, and I know especially Renee and I talk about this all the time. It's one of Renee's favorite subjects. And the goal today is to teach you not only just, you know, different CRMs that we use and which ones you may or may not like, because what's the best CRM that we use?
The one you'll use.
The one you'll use. We all know that, right? So the reality is we know that the reason why people don't like their CRMs because they don't know how to use them. But we'll talk about different things on how to organize your CRM today, maybe certain CRMs. And, you know, I think most of us on here actually use different ones. So that'll be even better from a collaboration piece to see what everybody's using. So let's go ahead to Pennsylvania because Craig looks very studious there. And I always like to learn from the master up he's the old guy up there, right, Craig?
Hey. Remember, I'm still learning this stuff. So the second you stop learning, you're dead. You know, I am going to be dead honest to everybody. I blew up my CRM because I didn't back it up right 5 years ago. And I lost it all because I was being silly. And I didn't believe what I didn't believe. And I didn't know what I didn't know. Well, guess what? How to start over is do not piecemeal it. Find one, work it, and do it well. Find out who can coach you through it. I'm learning the KV core system, and it's only been a year. I have some coaches doing it. I've had people help me set it up right, and I'm working through it. It doesn't mean it's the best and it's the perfect. It's the one that's working for me. It's the one that came with our company, with my company, and I'm happy with it. I've been through Salesforce. I've been through this one, and this one. So I'm really new to this. That's why I was so studious. I'm like, yes, I'm going to get some more stuff. But remember, if the old guy can get in there, type it in there and start finding leads and set up landing pages and all that stuff, everybody here can do it, especially the people on this call. You're all way above it. So I'm actually going to pass the buck because I don't know much more than it. Other than I use KV Core. It's easy to use. It does create leads. You can get it through a company or you can go get it yourself. And the bottom line is you're right. If you're not using something, you're losing everything. So do something. It's better than nothing. That's Renee's one.
Exactly. All right. Well, that was a wealth of help there, Craig. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, no, it's my pleasure.
So, hey, you know, here's the deal, right? I know we're all extremely intelligent people, but the beauty of this panel is not all of us know everything. So I can't tell you, after 21 years in this business, I come on almost every week. I learn something new. Almost every, I mean, sometimes I'm smarter than the talkers, but almost every week I learn something new, and it's pretty amazing to me. Val, let's go to you, Val, because I know you like the subject.
Yeah, so I'll agree. I think that the best CRM is the one that you're going to use, and I don't use just one. And I use my different CRMs, if you will, for different purposes. So KV Core is extremely sophisticated. It's much smarter than I ever will be with technology, and I'm grateful for that. So I will always be learning how to use the different things that KV Core has to offer. In fact, after our call today, I'm doing an entire 4-hour course on learning KV Core squeeze pages. That's not something I've ever had to venture into. I've been a work your sphere referral only agent my entire career, and with the shift in the market and the pivot in the market, and the fact that we lead a team that we now need to help generate leads, I have to learn this stuff. So I'm going to jump into the KV Core squeeze page course by Sylvia Dana. And then a couple of other things that I use beyond KV Core. I'll talk a little bit more about how I actually got a buyer and a seller through KV Core without even knowing that it happened in a second. But I use something called Reminder Media. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the American Lifestyle magazine. They actually have a good life or something about healthy eating, and then another one about healthy living in general. So I have 3 different choices now through Reminder Media. And I've been using that my entire career. And I don't use it on a huge scale. I use it on a much more intimate grouping of the people that would be in my CRM, the people who have actually transacted with me. And then every year I look at it and I say, who are the most likely people that are going to either have a transaction with me, or they're going to refer me somebody because A, we became friends, or B, they're always on my social media. I mean, you can kind of drill it down and figure it out that way. So I keep about 150 people from my big CRM in my little CRM, which is Reminder Media, and I mail them a magazine every other month. So they get a magazine. They're always super appreciative. I get the best text messages like, hey, look who's on my coffee table this month. And so those are just those fun little reminders for them, but it's all part of my bigger CRM plan. And then another one that I use courtesy of Gail that she taught me when she and I partnered is called Harry and David. So Harry and David is a gift giving service, and they give amazing fruits and edibles and all sorts of really cool things. Not those kind of edibles, like PG edibles, be quiet, guys. But we do that twice a year. So I keep a portion of my CRM broken down into my Harry and David account, and that gets mailed automatically at Mother's Day. I'll do something sometimes for Father's Day, and then I do it at Christmas time, and I send the 12 pairs to my top 100. It's sort of expensive. It's like $30 a pop. But if you get their 20% off coupons and you time it right, it's totally worthwhile. And without fail, those micro CRMs that I'm using, the Harry and David and the Reminder Media, where I can interchange people from my big giant CRM and put them in there, they're constantly referring me, constantly. So like December, I sent out my pairs. I think I sent 47 sets of pairs this last December to my micro CRM. And I had 4 deals that came out of it in January. So, it's not all about just the big CRM and the auto drip and the email campaigns and the market reports and all that stuff, which is great. Those are all phenomenal tools that we should all tap into and be using. But think of creative ways that you can create a micro CRM in a different tool. There are so many amazing things out there available to us as realtors in this industry, and they don't have to cost a fortune. And you can find coupons and other ways. And heck, I'm absolutely more than willing to spend $2,000 sending some pairs one time per year that yielded me $176,000 in commissions. I mean, I think you guys probably would all feel the very same about that. So I hope that answers your question. KV Core, I want to talk about that for a quick second. So what's nice about KV Core, and it may be whatever CRM you're using may have this feature as well, but they have the auto bot responding on KV Core. And this got me a buyer and a seller. So I was in Serrano, which is in the town we live in, El Dorado Hills, which is like dead zone. There's no cell service. And I was up in there for probably about 4 hours. I was on a listing appointment, or was helping a seller, I don't remember. And I had come out and I was driving down the parkway, and my phone starts dinging from everything that I missed. And the bot in KV Core had initiated and had an entire conversation with somebody who came into my KV Core lead gen while I was on that appointment. So KV Core set the appointment, sent a market update report, basically booked a listing appointment for me. And then one of my agents and I went and we secured the listing, sold them a home in Folsoms. They booked a showing to see another property, all via my bot on KV Core. And then it was I think it was 1.4 million total in transaction.
It's funny when you like technology always, take over and work for you. I'm torn on it a little bit with the bots, because I just watched one the other day that said the person went through exactly what they're looking for, and then the bot said, asked them a question about exactly what they just answered. So you got to be a little bit
Yeah.
careful on some of those ones too. But I think, they're better than no, the reality is most people don't work their leads.
Right, better than no response at all. And you can always, like, if you're, if you have some sort of wit about you, you can always jump in and be like, hey, it's actually Val now. Thanks for talking to the robotic version of myself for the last 45 minutes. I'm jumping into some, it's all in the recovery.
Oh yeah. It's sort of like I always talk about, I play golf. Actually, a few of us out here play golf. We all suck. But we always talk about, I'll hit a really, really bad drive, but it's all about the recovery shot. Right. Same idea. Awesome. Well, thank you, Val. I
Hey, Mitch,
appreciate
can I
it.
say something real quick here? Val,
Sure.
those squeeze pages, and I don't know anything about that KV Core squeeze pages. The first week I watched the video, I went and cut, paste, did it. I put 2 out, ended up selling a 900 and ended up getting an $800,000 listing on a house that I didn't even know was sending properties to people because they punched on it. It set it up and they called me and bought it. It was crazy. So the thing's fantastic. You're gonna have so much fun with it because if I can do it, you can definitely do it.
Yeah, KV Core is one of the better systems that I've reviewed over there. Here's what I'll give a little before I speak later on, but just a little advice on CRMs. Most of them have way more tools than you'll ever need or use. So at least pick something. And so what happens, they look at, like, KV Core has so many things that it does. They'll look at really these tools and get overwhelmed and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So really look at, all right, what do you need? What do you need it for? And it's different for everybody. And utilize those few tools within the system. You can learn the rest, like Craig's learning landing pages now, or Val is. You can learn the rest later on, but right now learn what you need to at least be able to control your business better. It's good stuff. Great stuff. Mr. D'Souza, who's the king of internet leads besides me. And
Nice to
Renee.
see you, buddy.
Hey, Craig. All right. What's up, buddy?
Good. So, so I use an old system called Top Producer. A lot of you guys have been in the business for a while. I actually hate it. So if you're starting new, looking for a new database, don't do Top Producer. So my assistant has COVID. I wish he was here. He'd probably give a lot more insight. But the important parts of a CRM is, again, the one you use, right? Because they're all Top Producer, like KV Core, like all of them, they're very, very confusing, right? They have so many tools that you can use. So the important points that we do with, in Top Producer, I think we have, something, I think we have 35,000 leads, literally, like just a crazy amount. So it depends on how many leads you generate, but you always want to categorize them, right? So they're really, just like I do with my open houses, they're really good leads. We'll call them like an A+, right? A, B, C, D, all the way down. So what happens is if you get 500, 100, whatever, 10,000 leads in there, you kind of want to bring the cream to the top. So, you could search for the A leads, right? And then you have your stack of the better leads that you want to work on. So that's one thing. You could categorize them by open house client, past client, internet lead, whatever you want to do. So, the important thing is we buy leads, I buy leads. You go to an open house, you spend your, time and money. So you might as well put them into a database. That's the important part. And I think it's important, Mitch, to categorize a strictly CRM to a CRM with an IDX solution, right? So KV Core, Boomtown, there's a bunch of systems like that. They're a database, CRM, which is a database, and it's also an IDX solution where you can generate the leads from the internet. So Top Producer, what I use is just strictly a database. It's just a CRM. There's no IDX integration. So we also use a system called Zerpal, which I've spoke about. Mitch, I've talked to you about that before. And Zerpal is really bad at everything except it has a really good AI component. So if you dump leads in there, it does a really good job of, if a person goes back, let's say they look at 123 Elm Street 3 or 4 times, it'll send them a really crafted message like, hey, Mitch, I noticed that you looked at 123 Elm Street 3 or 4 times yesterday. Would you like me to find out how much the owner owes on the house? And also I could see if they're running an open house this weekend. Would that work for you? And then it sends a really crafted message, as a slew of them. And then Mitch would respond or not respond. So in Zerpal, I think we have 11,500-ish people in there. So it sends out for me automatically. It's a crazy number. I think it's like 15,000 emails a month. It's crazy. And the open rate's like 60%. So a big part of our sales that we've done over the years come from that. And people just respond to those crafted emails. So it's a pretty powerful system. We pay, I think, $400 a month. So If anybody on this call has a slew of leads, like, 1,000 plus, that might be something to consider as well. So those are the tools we use. Don't like Top Producer, but my assistant Ken uses it every day because he's a former Marine, so he's very structured. I'm not. I wouldn't recommend that to a new agent, and then categorize all your people and just use it. Whatever works for you, use. Some people use a database of index cards. Whatever you're going to use, that's going to get you some sales, just use it. So that's what I have to say, guys.
Yep, perfect. One of the sad components of our call every week, and I'll apologize because it's not me that does it, it's Pete. But we're gonna have Brian go now because he always seems to be last. And therefore you got 2 minutes, Brian, go. You know, Brian.
Thank you, Mitch. So everything I've heard so far is pretty much a buffet of what I've been doing also. I started so long ago that we just had a book and a phone, and you had to learn to write everything down on a sheet of paper or an index card. We used to carry around a little recipe box with everybody's name in it. And I migrated to a fax machine, somewhere, and then it went to this and that. And I actually used Top Producer for a long time. I actually loved it because it was easy for me to use. It was something that I could go take a listing, come back to the office, hand over my file to maybe my brokerage or put it in the MLS, and then I could build a flyer and send it to my database, and I kept everybody, in my little buckets. And so that was my first CRM that really taught me how to use one. And then I was using Goldmine, but I also use my phone and I use the MLS contact, like Val was saying. So I use kind of several ones. But what I'm like you, Mitch. I'm pretty much by referral now. So my CRM consists really of a holiday list. I send my Christmas cards with my family. When I first started sending them, it was just my wife and I. This year, my Christmas card was my wife, myself, my 3 kids, 2 son-in-laws, 2 grandkids. And I've never stopped doing that in 37 years. I have always sent a Christmas card. So all of my clients always get one. My list is a little over 100. And those are my specific clients. Some of those I've done multiple deals with, and then their kids and their family deals. So what we've heard so far is the one you use is the one you use. And I use the MLS contact management database for any client that I've sat down with and I do buyer consultations with. So if you're the cream, like you were saying there, Dennis, the cream for me is a 10 buyer. The 10 buyer, I put their wish list into the CRM inside the MLS, and I never give the MLS my clients' information. I put everything in there and it's my information because I want to see what they would get based upon their wish list. And then what it allows me to do is to review it, call the listing agent, ask some questions, maybe go see it, maybe go preview it, or if it's not on Lockbox, set up a showing preview and make sure that I have a way to get in the door before I even call and waste my client's time. Because then what I do is I like to call my client, say, hey, a property just hit the market today. It's checking off all the boxes for your bucket list. I've actually already got an appointment to go preview it. I'm going to send it to you now. So, right, I'm sending it, not a computer, not a robot. I'm sending it. And when I send it to them, typically they open it right away and they know I'm going to be there later today. And a lot of times my clients drop everything they're doing and go there. They want to see it. I typically only show 1 or 2 properties when I operate this way because I've defined my client's wish list in a consultation. That is a database management software program that I live by. I do not let any of my clients receive random emails. If they sign themselves up on one, that's fine. I can't stop them from doing Zillow and Redfin and all the other ones. But if they're really working with me and they're my cream, they're my 10, then everybody goes into that CRM inside the MLS. And I put my MLS information in there only to receive the notifications. You have to trick the system a little bit, but it works best that way, okay? Because that way because they think if they're not coached on this, the CRM will send them houses that they think you've already seen because they think we see everything. I don't know about you guys, but most of your clients think that we've seen properties that we send them. And that's our job. we've seen their house when we listed it. So obviously we've seen the ones we're showing it. And that's not true for 90% of agents today. They're showing property that they've never seen. And that's risky. So I definitely use the contact management in the MLS. That's a great CRM to get used to and use it to alert myself. That's what I do. My telephone has been my greatest CRM for the last decade. When I left my previous brokerage a decade ago, I was using Top Producer. I didn't keep it up because I left my assistant behind. And I too have access to KV Core, and I'm learning it. But my goal today is to make sure that the clients that, like Mitch talks about, the ones that have already bought and sold from us, and Craig, I know you have a lot of them in value or using, we all have something unique. But if you bucket your clients in CRMs, they don't all have to be in the same CRM. They just have to be in the one you'll use, like we've heard from everybody. So I definitely love using my phone, my holiday list, and the CRM that the MLS provides me. And then I'm learning some of the new skills because they change so fast. As soon as you have a new one and you get it, it's gone. But I also rely on one other thing. That's my partner, Randy. Randy is actually the expert in my office and on my team, and he's the one who knows how to manage the database. So I'm going to pass the baton to Randy. If that's okay.
Randy, take over.
If that's okay, Mitch, sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it, Randy.
Thanks, Brian. But for me, you guys know that my clientele is, a lot of them are investors. So nurturing those relationships are very different, right? I don't sign them up for any email drips or anything like that, because these are people that constantly go and buy flips and they do multiple deals a year. So to me, that relationship is more of me reaching out via phone, checking in. Hey, how are you doing? You got any flips yet in the works? Because a lot of times they buy these flips from wholesalers, from other agents. I'm not representing them on a purchase, so I wouldn't even know if I don't stay in touch with them, right? But I keep track who's the active investor, right? And I know which ones will do 2 or 3 a year, and I stay in front of those on a regular basis. And I offer my service to, hey, if you want me to review anything that you're locking up, let me know so I can review it, make sure you're making the right decision. Like, I'm here for you, right? So that's kind of like my very, very warm network, right, of investors that I work with and do multiple deals a year with. But then since, joining and moving our brokerage over to EXP a couple of years ago, I really wanted to be on the front lines of testing things out that we are being offered, right? So if you're here and you're part of a different brokerage, like, lean in to whatever's being offered by your brokerage and actually learn what they offer you. Because most agents, I find, when they leave and move to other brokerages, they blame the brokerage, but really they never actually took the time to learn what was being actually offered by the company you're with, right? That seems to be the most common thing. And they think that they move somewhere else and it's going to be easier and it's going to be done for them. And it doesn't happen, right? You're going to repeat the same negative cycle, right? So lean in, and that's what I chose to do as well. When I had my own brokerage, guess what? I had to be the one providing all these tools. So I knew those things from that standpoint. However, when I joined a brokerage, I'm like, hey, let me lean in and actually learn these different tools, including KV Core and things like that. So, however, being a team leader and having now a national team, it's also challenging at the same time to be the guy setting everything up. So I chose to have a newer agent on my team, Nathan, that I gave the baton to, and I said, hey, here's the list of people that leads I've gathered since I've joined this new brokerage 2 years ago, because I've tested different ads. So I have a bunch of leads that went in there. I'm like, we did an okay job, but I need you to do a great job. So he's the one that basically is the one that watched the videos, watched the trainings on the CRM on how to set up drip campaigns and categorize each lead to different buckets. So they have different drip campaigns depending on what kind of lead it is. If it's a buyer lead, it's a seller lead, if it's a lead from an open house, right? So he's now categorizing everything and setting things up, because I can guarantee you the CRM you have now already has different drip campaigns set up for you, right? So out of the gate, you can get a lead tomorrow at an open house, plug them in, and they're going to be communicated with on a regular basis. And you can go back later and tweak it and create your own. But I can tell you that you probably won't for many months. So you might as well have them get something, right? Instead of being completely forgotten after you did all the hard work of doing the open house and generating the lead, right? So at least get them plugged into a automated drip that's based on a specific category. And that's what I have Nathan doing. And I can tell you it's pretty cool when you log into your CRM that tracks movement, right, of what the leads are doing. It's pretty impressive to be like, oh man, this guy's looking at this house like 10 times. And then this person is looking at, and then that's when Nathan on my team will send a text like, hey, like what you guys talked about. So then you have to engage. And if you're a busy agent, there's no way you're going to be able to do that, right? So think of someone that you can bring on your team that's a newer agent that is hungry, that has the time to go and engage now with those leads beyond the automation, right? Because automation will only take you so far, right? Then you have to have someone else. And if it's not you, then you get an assistant, right? And you know, what I have set up with Nathan, I'm like, look, any business you get from my CRM, you're going to make money on it. We're going to work that lead together, right? So that's his incentive to work my CRM, right? I'm not paying him that for the work that he's doing. I'm like, I'll pay him when you generate a lead that we turn into a client, or I mean, the lead is already in our CRM. If we turn this lead into a client, I'll go to an appointment with you, right? And we had a listing appointment actually a couple of weeks ago. And if we get the listing, or if we get a buyer committed to us, he's working it with me. And he's going to basically learn how to work with a buyer. He's going to learn how to work with a seller. So that's how I navigate when I personally, as a team leader, I'm busy, but yet I also believe in everything you guys are saying, but I don't have the time, right? Another thing that I started using recently is HomeBot. So some of you might have heard of it, but maybe someone can type that in. I can, I'll probably type it in later if you can't. But HomeBot, I partnered with my lender, and we basically split the cost together on this. And I think you can go up to 25 with a free trial. It's free up to 25 contacts. So I've been going through my past clients who have bought homes. Those are the best ones. So they are now homeowners, right? So they have a category of homeowners. So I've just finished uploading all of my past homeowners or buyers who are now homeowners in there. And it's pretty fascinating, to be honest. I'm looking at it right now. And right now I have a 94% open rate on homeowners, right? And I set myself up. So what my suggestion to you guys, whatever CRM you choose, if it's, KV Core, Product Producer, or something like HomeBot, which is also a CRM, right? Add yourself as if you are the homeowner, right? Like, so you understand what the experience is that your client or past client is going to see, right? So you got to understand it, right? So I put myself in there as a homeowner. I put myself in there also as a future buyer. And now I'm getting these automated emails from HomeBot as if I am my client, right? So I'm also watching to see, like, what are they really getting? And would I personally like this or not? Like, don't just believe that, because you heard, that's great. Like, and you just set it and forget it, never even look at it. Like, what if you actually look at it and were like, oh man, I would have just changed that one sentence and it would have been so much better. And you can do that right there. Go in, change it, boom, and now it's automated with that change, right? So that's another tip. Just make yourself a lead, make yourself a client within the CRM, right? So HomeBot is something really good with your warm past clients, right? Like we talked about. And then lastly, what I do is I have my birthdays for most of my clients in my calendar. And then when I get that calendar reminder, it's so-and-so's birthday today, then I will go to starbucks.com and I send them a gift card for $10 with a message, hey, buy yourself a latte. and something sweet. It's on me, happy birthday. And to me, that's like simple. I mean, it's like I can do it in like a minute, right? And I always get responses in most cases if they open the email and they're like, hey, this was so cool. Thank you so much for thinking of me, right? And it's $10, you know? And so that's what I do, because it's my past. I don't send those to my investors really, because it's like, I do so much business with them that I give them so many different discounts and opportunities. But like my regular retail clients, that's what I do. I send them those gift cards on a regular basis. But I like what someone said, something about the gift fruit baskets, like maybe even once a year, I might want to consider doing that. So thank you for that idea. I think that was Val. So
It's well worth the spend, I promise.
yeah, so that's all I got.
Awesome. Cool, good stuff. I just want to reiterate one thing that I think is one of the most important things you said. You said a lot of awesome stuff there, Randy. Set yourself up. You have to see what your people are getting. And I used to get probably 15 different emails a day from myself based on the stuff that I was using. And I would read every single one because I wanted to make sure every drip campaign, every email that went out automated went out correctly. And what you'll find typos. Oh my God, nothing more bad. Is that good English? There's nothing more bad than typos. And you know, it's funny because I'll make a post on Facebook, literally 10 minutes after it's posted, my phone's ringing from my wife. You know, that doesn't sound right because, you know, I type like I talk just as fast. And yeah, so definitely get yourself sent stuff. So I want to go over to Renee. Renee, just allow you guys on. Renee's like the queen of CRM. She's so into her follow-up CRM that she uses, and she teaches all over the country on the same concept. And I know she's going to give you guys some really wicked awesome tips. So take it away, Renee.
Awesome stuff. Every single one of you that shared so far shared amazing things. I will reiterate that setting yourself up as the consumer is critically important. And to the point of understanding what words are used, like Randy, you said one word or one sentence can make the difference. That is so incredibly accurate. And here's the other thing is that anytime there's either a shift that you might anticipate in the market or something changing, or maybe the situation we're on right now where we're in a marketplace that's very interesting, I encourage you to go back into whatever text messages, whatever drips you have, whatever emails, whatever program, and check the wording and check the verbiage. When COVID first hit in 2020, one of the things we realized is some of the automated templates we were using in our follow-up systems were insensitive, weren't relevant. Some of the words, some of the sentences Randy mentioned could actually have a negative connotation or a negative vibe to it that were not impactful. So now is another great time to really lean in and look at what you're sending your customers. So I love that. Before I share about the CRM, when we talk about CRMs, y'all might not like this, but I have a lot of questions before I can dispense advice. And so I'm going to ask a couple here, and whether you're watching the replay or you're in chat, as long as you're not driving, please answer. Who's currently utilizing a CRM right now? If you would drop into chat what you are using. And then the second question, if you are able to drop into chat, are you an individual agent, a team leader, or perhaps a broker owner? And one of the important reasons why I ask those two questions is I see it in Facebook groups for realtors every day. Probably one of the most common questions you can encounter in any group of realtors is which CRM are you using? And I'm always very cautious before I just share what I'm using, because I believe the context to whom is asking and the context to the way the person who's utilizing it is critically important. The reality is, if you're a rising up agent that's starting out and you do not have the funds yet to invest in a CRM, then your phone, Facebook, a spreadsheet, all of that is great. You don't necessarily have to put a bunch of money on the table to invest in a solution. And certainly doing so too early could be a trap, because if we don't take that initial investment and actually leverage the solution, well, then it's not an investment, it's an expense, and it's probably a very expensive expense. So always make sure that you have a little context. I see some team leaders, I see lots using KV Core. That's incredible. What I want to remind everybody is CRM is not just a drip campaign. The CRM is not in place to only make our headaches go away as agents. A CRM in our North Star, the way we operate, is proactive, intentional actions to improve the relationship that we earn with every contact we have, whether it's PCSOI, previous customer sphere of influence, whether it's leads, we call them customers. I've never been a big fan of the word lead. I know it's an industry word, but to me, they're all humans and they're customers. So whatever segment of the database this particular contact is coming from, there's an intentionality that a CRM should and can and will give you in your business. We are utilizing a CRM now at this point in our business as a team, very high level, but we didn't start out that way. And so whomever you're talking to, make sure you get that clarity. Right now we're using Follow Up Boss as a team. I have a leads team in Orlando. This year, this leads team will be on track for between 275 and 300 transactions. We utilize our CRM for everything from our transaction management to our customer relationships, to our onboarding, to our marketing plans, to our listing process. Literally every single thing in our business, we're utilizing our CRM. But I want to remind you all, it didn't start that way. So if I go back to where it started with one focus. And this was back in the day, Mitch, when it was just Jeff and I, right? And the reality is, Jeff, my husband, wanted me to be a realtor for like years. And I kept saying, heck no, it's not happening. And then one day he said, could you just look at my CRM, which at that time was Top Producer, like 100 years ago, when both you and Jeff had hair, Mitch. So I sat down to look at Top Producer. That was just my husband at that time. And I didn't yet have my real estate license. And I said, oh my gosh, this is craziness. You're going to need some help. So we started in the beginning being intentional with 4 core features. Every contact we needed to ask ourselves, do we have name, phone number, email address, and mailing address? When we have those 4 core, I call them marketing gold. That allows us to be intentional and impactful, because we should be able to, and we do now, market across every platform with synergy. So our customers, we utilize a 36 touch plan for our previous customers in sphere of influence. And that 36 touch plan is touching in their mailbox, in their email, on the phone, and then of course on social media. And we are very intentional about that plan that is really 36 touches every year, same 36 touches. What ends up happening when you utilize a CRM in just that basic fashion, I'll recommend to agents, if you're starting out in a CRM, just add 30 contacts. We all have 30 contacts. I promise you do. Go to your phone, start at A, go to Z, you're going to find 30 contacts you can be intentional about either deepening or earning a relationship with. Add those 4 core items. Now, I know what you're going to say. I don't have them all. Mitch, I don't have all that information. What should I do?
Retire, quit.
What should I do?
Yeah, just maybe contact them and ask them for their information.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hey, Mitch, it's Renee. It's been a while since we last chat. I want to be better about our connection. I really value your relationship and we have to stay in touch better. So how's everything going with Jeanette?
Good. Going great.
Yeah. How's the puppy?
Pain in the ass. Yeah.
I see on social media that you are about to take a trip to Boston.
I am going to go to Boston to go to my annual Red Sox game so I can go pack my car a little bit.
Oh my
In
gosh,
fact,
that's
I'm
going to be
I'm meeting Pete
amazing.
Middleton up there. We're going to have fun.
I can't wait to hear all about that. So let's stay in touch. And yes, I'm going to cut it a little bit short now for the interest of this meeting. But as I wrap the call, the goal of my call is I'm updating my contact information. And I have a little something I want to send you, just a little magical moment. What's your mailing address?
Sure. That's great. I don't want to give it because these guys will all send me gifts and I don't want them.
Sure, right? Because agents always tell me, well, I'm afraid, I don't want to ask. Okay, well, send them a handwritten note card.
Yeah.
Listen to Randy. Randy sends out a quick Starbucks card.
Yep.
So get that database. It's the number one obstacle I see agents entering the industry in. And even for those on the call that are a team leader or a broker owner, I know you're working with agents that maybe give you that pushback and uncomfortable nature of, I don't want to call my previous customers an SOI because I don't want to pitch them about real estate. Guess what? I'm not ever asking any of you to do that. Because when I call Mitch, he's probably going to ask me about real estate anyway, but not once am I going to mention it unless they do. I'm calling to check in. That's it. And so we're doing that at a big way. One other thing I want to mention to you about a CRM hack. And I don't know all CRMs, but I'll share with you what I'm doing is on my bottom phone of my tray. You know, we probably, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, you probably have your phone icon there, correct? So you want to dial and you hit your phone. I don't have a phone icon down there. My phone icon is buried. I have my CRM icon and I dial out through my CRM. Now, not all CRMs may offer that, and I understand, but when you continue to scale and grow your business, what I will share with you is that our team, our leads team, every phone call we make is through our CRM. We have custom phone numbers. So every agent has a phone number through the CRM. Agents have marketing phone numbers through the CRM. So for example, I think it was Vale who said she has a magazine. That magazine is genius. They work. Our agents that are doing the magazine, they have a custom phone number through the CRM that is only used on that magazine. So that when Vale receives a phone call inbound from someone who says, oh my gosh, Vale, I love this magazine, I'm going to call her. Then that inbound call will say, calling from Val's magazine. And it auto sources the contact. So again, proactive intentionality about the way we have relationships with our business. Val will never guess again how much of her business is coming from that magazine or how much return phone calls she's receiving as a result. We should all be able to look at the time that we invest in our business, whether it's monthly, quarterly. You know, we're doing mid-year right now. And then of course, as we wrap the year and say, what I invested my time and advertising budget in, here's my return. As I assess business decisions for the next year, do I continue the magazine or do I retract? And that intentionality is the difference between being really, in my opinion, a strong, intentional business owner, or I get it. A lot of agents fall into the trap where they don't realize that they're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table because they're trying everything, but not really having a measurable spot that will guide them with the results that they're investing. One other thing I will mention is, I think I had said, so we have one TC managing this year. It'll be about 275 transactions. And while we do use SkySlope for the transaction management from a compliance standpoint, our entire contract to close as it relates to the synergy between the TC and the agents and the TC and the lenders and title and all of the affiliated, partners within that transaction is all managed through our CRM and trackable then, which is really, really nice for the overall timeline of the service. And then one other thing I noted is birthdays, house anniversaries. We have smart lists built in our CRM that are driven by dates within the CRM. So whether you have a VA or an assistant or a newer agent in your organization, or if you're starting out, it might be you, there are opportunities that you can input that into your CRM, create a smart list that says, I'm going to look on the first of the month at one click access to every birthday that I have coming up in the 30 to 45 days. And then my system can send out a gift card, handwritten card, however you wish to send it outbound. So we're doing birthdays and house anniversaries, proactively looking at about a 30 to 45 day swing. Mitch, we could talk about CRM, you know.
I know.
It's a lot. I was trying to give some top level.
No, that was great stuff. Yeah, it is, especially, I've been doing this stuff for years and years and years, even before real estate, doing database management and stuff like that. And it's so important. And I'll give my tips when we get through. Matt, I want to go to Matt. I think it's the last one I haven't talked to yet. Matt and I obviously share the same hairstylist, which is why we love each other so much. So Matt, why don't you go ahead and what are you using for a CRM and how are you using it to grow your business?
Yeah, so I agree with, everybody made some incredible points. It's whatever, there's so many different CRMs out there, and I used to use Top Producer, but years ago, and I've switched over to KV Core because it's pretty easy and it's pretty simple. I also use, so like everybody else said, my phone. When I'm in the car, and I'm in the car a lot, I'm always on my phone, really just calling past clients. And one thing that I did is when I switched everything over to KV Core, I went through my old, I just went on the MLS and looked up all my old transactions. And I realized that I didn't have, there are a lot of people that, I sell a home for and they move out of the area. And so I reached out to them because you can find them usually on Facebook, even though they live in a different area. They still know people here in San Diego. They still have family here in San Diego. So I used to think, that person's moving to Colorado or that person's moving to the East Coast. So they're gone. They're not really gone because they know a lot of people here in San Diego and they still have family and friends here. So I made a concerted effort to go back through all my old transactions and look people up. And I was, oh yeah, I remember that guy. I remember the people. And then you just reach out to them, and Facebook's the easiest way to do that. The other thing is when I'm, like I say, I use my phone a lot because I have so many friggin' contacts in my phone, and a lot of them are past clients. And so, a lot of times I'm in the car, I'll just pick up the phone and call somebody, even though they moved to Oregon, and do that. Just like Renee said, call them, check in with them and see how they're doing, and make sure I have their right contact information. And they always ask about what's the market doing in San Diego, and what do you think my house would be worth, and we might move back, and so forth. So like I always tell the agents that I work with, everything works and nothing doesn't. So it's it's a contact sport, and you really have to just people, if you don't keep in touch with your past clients, you're going to see people listing or doing real estate business with other people, not because they don't know who you are and they don't know who you're in real estate. They just happen to talk to somebody else. And I've had clients say, you're so successful and so busy, we didn't want to bother you.
Right. I've heard that many times.
Talk about a dunce cap I'm wearing when I hear that, So it's just a matter of staying in touch with people, and there's so many different ways to do it. I know that a lot of people, I was just hearing somebody, I don't know if anybody uses Ylopo. Somebody was just telling me about that the other day. There's another one called, there's so many of them, but it's really, I try to keep it pretty simple. I send out mass emails to past clients. But really it's just a matter of keeping in touch with them. That's it. And then the other thing is, we all know, the analogy is, when you have that client who they go to a great restaurant and they tell, 10 people in the next week how incredible this restaurant was, right? That's the kind of client that you really want to keep in touch with, because that's the one that you'll call up and they'll have 4 or 5 friends of theirs who, they're thinking about moving and they're thinking about moving. And I told them about you and so forth. So there's certain people that tend to refer you more than others. What I do for a closing gift, when I know that's not the topic here, but, I send all my clients a gift certificate to about 4 or 5 different hotels here in San Diego, and it never expires. And I tell them that, I say, whenever you want to take advantage of this getaway, just give me or my office a call and we'll book it for you. I used to give them an actual gift certificate that I would buy from the Four Seasons here in Carlsbad. I would actually pay for the thing, and then I'd go to list their house 3 years later. It was still on the refrigerator, and I already spent a bunch of money on it. So now I just give them a gift certificate and I tell them that I'll book it. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll sometimes follow up with people and say, hey, I noticed you haven't called to use that getaway. It never expires and stuff like that. And so it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. So, but you guys have made so many incredible points. And then Randy, I wanted to ask you, I've got a lot of investors right now that are honestly here in San Diego that sounds like they've all stopped buying. Do you still have investors that are actively out buying? I know it's off topic, but
No, yeah, our sister company, CT Homes, they keep buying. They're just becoming very picky.
yeah,
They will not buy anything with any negatives that cannot
Right.
be addressed, and they adjust about 15% on average down for a future ARV.
mhm.
So
All right, I'll connect with you after the call. I got a couple. So anyway,
Well,
that's all I
awesome.
got. I'm not that high tech on it. It's hard to follow Renee, but that's all I got.
Now, what
It's
you
the
just
CRM
mentioned
you use.
about Matt's mention of the gift that keeps on giving, y'all write that down. That's so
love that.
incredibly important, because we used to
Brilliant.
give closing gifts at the closing table. And you know what I realized years ago? Think about how the consumer feels. Oh, great. Another thing I got to move in the moment. We should all be thinking about gifts that either can be given weeks or a month later, because remember, that's a check-in for a review. Or Matt's idea is brilliant. Huge share
it.
you just gave. Thank you.
And people in my type of market with a $350,000 price point always give away Four Seasons gift cards. It's more expensive than our damn commission. Hey Val, what was the name of the magazine that you used? I've had a couple people ask.
It is called Reminder Media, and I'm gonna pull up just a quick text and show you like some of the responses I get when people receive them, which is super fun. It's just another touch point, so they actually engage with you. So I did this last round I did was the Good to Be Home. So they have American Lifestyle, they have Good to Be Home, and then something about healthy eating. So time it. You can get in there and change it depending on the season. In January, people make all their healthy habits. So when you send out your January magazine, you can make it all about good health. And when you're sending out your fall magazines, it's got pick the one with all the recipes or whatever. But here's an example. I don't know if you can actually see that or not, but he said, why didn't I get a signed copy? So he was just sharing that he received it sitting on his counter, and he's joking around with me, why didn't I sign it? So just a fun way to engage with people.
Love it. All right, I'm gonna give I got
Hey, Mitch.
6 minutes here to
Hey, Mitch.
get through this. Oh yeah, go ahead,
Mitch.
Craig.
Real quick, something that we do on what Renee was saying and Matt did, but you were talking about the $300,000 price range. We'll set some up on the 6 month, the 90th, the 30 days, the 90 day, and the 180, and then we'll go back and revamp it. But we spend, I think, about $36 total. It's a gift of the month, and it might be chocolates this month. It might be popcorn the next month. It could be something else the next month. But it's something different, and you can set it up and it'll build to your card when it's and it's out of your sight. And then it'll say, hey, do you want to renew it or do you want to let it go? So it's like gift of the month club. Just go online and there's a bunch of them.
I think what we maybe next week's topic we'll do gifts. I think it's a really, because we all do something completely different here, but I got 5 minutes here. I want to hit on some really important points. First of all, I'm going to reiterate what everybody else has said. If you are not using a CRM, why not? And use the one you'll actually use, because most people won't. Organizing your CRM is vital to the success of your CRM. Vital. I built my first CRM because there was no CRMs out there that did what I needed. I spent $500,000 on my 100-mile-per-hour marketing, again, based on how I speak, software program, which was a lead conversion software program. And why did I spend that much money? Because I wanted my leads organized in a manner that would help me convert leads more, right? Or people more, to Renee's leads are people. There, except for people in New York, they're still going to be leads to me always. They're still Yankee fans. But anyways, So let's talk about organizing your website. I used my own system, then I later on bought a real estate webmasters and used customized their back end to do more lead conversion stuff. But here's the things I wanted to track. I always wanted to track my active leads. Active leads are people that I talked to who said, yes, I'm buying, right, or selling. I wanted to really track my active high-end leads because I'd rather get $1 million sale than a $250,000 sale. So I did not want to lose track of my high-end people. I always tracked, and this is so important. I was so frustrated running my brokerage. I mean, I loved it and hated it at the same time. I went into my database once and found 6,000 leads, people that were shown property were never followed up with again. Think about that. So we built a shown property category. So therefore we could always go back in there, especially when an agent left the company or the team, we'd be able to just plug another agent in there and take over. And then we have a sold category. Now we actually had about 10 more categories. I want to keep this as simple as possible. The sold category, we set up on a 5-year campaign to do quarterly contacts. Now, I'm going to tell you, the main reason for a CRM is for you to make phone calls. Let me rephrase that. The main reason for your CRM is to make phone calls, not to let the automation do all the work for you. Not that there's anything wrong with automation, but I will tell you, if you are talking to somebody, you are going to build a relationship. If you're just sending the email, you're not. People are going to use the realtor they use, because everybody knows 10 realtors. They're going to use the realtor they use because they're in front of them at the time that they're thinking about buying or selling. If you got 5 people sending them stuff and only one person is calling them, who they're going to use? 100% of the time, they're going to use the person who's calling them. So don't use this to do, based on my 3rd book, by the Rockstar Sales Guide, don't do chicken shit marketing. Right? My book says don't email, don't text. 3rd page says pick up the effing phone. Right? I just saved you all $1 on Amazon. But I think I'm going to hit 5,000 sales with that this week, which is hysterical. But my point is always utilize your database to pick up the phone. The other thing you can do, especially if you're in an area like us and Renee, I don't know how San Diego works in Pennsylvania, but we get a lot of people that are going to buy in a while, right? They're from New York, they're from California, especially right now. Everybody's coming to Florida, right? So make sure in your database that you have a database that's searchable by area code. Because what you can do now is you can search your active listings, right, by area code and find the people that are local, so you can be on top of those people to create sales today. So we know the people from out of the area are not necessarily buying today. They're 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year away, sometimes many, many years away. But if you can search by your local people, it allows you to actually narrow down a search where you can find the ones that are active, that are looking today, that are local, that can buy a house today. So that's important stuff. That's the basics of this stuff. We got 1 minute left here. I'll open it up to any questions, but pick up the phone, because I don't care how much your CRM's automated. You're going to get sales from it. But I'll give you an example. We had a 6% conversion on raw registration leads, 6%, which is ridiculously high. And the average is less than 1%. We did that because we picked up the phone. We called all our leads. So I think we're done. It's 1 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, panel. And by the way, just so you know, and I just want to thank our panelists that are on here every week. I mean, sometimes one are missing or not, but we all are really, really busy in our lives, and we really want to share with you guys how to become hugely successful. And everybody on this panel, probably except me, is hugely successful. And I appreciate you guys giving your time up every week. I love you guys. Anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.